Okay. Good afternoon, and thank you for the flexibility to make this event happen. Welcome to the 24th Petroleum Engineering Hall of Fame Gala, where we will induct our newest historic Hall of Fame class of honorees. I am Balnur Mindagaliyeva, a proud doctoral student in the Mines PE program. I'm originally from Kazakhstan and earned my undergraduate degree at the New Mexico Institute of Mining and Technology. In 2019, I joined the PE Master of Science program at Mines, driven by a desire to deepen my knowledge of reservoir engineering under the advisement of Dr. Kazemi. My passion for the field, combined with the exceptional faculty, motivated me to continue my studies and pursue a PhD in 2021. I have held leadership roles with both the Society of Petroleum Engineers and the American Association of Drilling Engineers. Additionally, I recently interned with BP, gaining valuable experience in deep offshore conventional fields. I'm honored to be one of your MCs today.
Good afternoon. I'm your other student MC, Carter Grinnell. I'm originally from upstate New York, and Mines brought me out to Colorado. I chose Mines Petroleum Engineering because of its relationships with an industry, outstanding faculty, and industry engagement. I love being in a place where the graduates want to give back to the current students. It truly is a testament to Mines' education and the reputation in the industry. As an intern with EOG Resources, this last summer I was a production engineer down in San Antonio, and this upcoming summer I'll be in completions down in Midland. Before we get started recognizing our incredible inductees this afternoon, I'd like to recognize the members of the Mines cabinet and leadership team who are in attendance this evening. Please stand and give us a wave. There we go. We would also like to recognize all of the current and formal faculty in the Petroleum Engineering Department that are joining us today. You have been crucial in making the department the absolute powerhouse that it is known to be. You have inspired students from the past, and you give us students a best-in-class education. If you are current or formal faculty, please rise and give us a wave. Before we get started, I want to share with you a new Mines commercial that will be getting some heavy national play, even during NFL games. This is a great representation of who we are today and what we have to offer to our prospective students. The next one. Perfect.
It's just another day at Colorado School of Mines, where innovation is in motion, technology takes flight, curiosity drives discovery, and engineers and scientists are shaping the future of energy, computing, aerospace, and beyond. See what's possible at mines.edu.
Wonderful. That is a great spot, and it really captures the Mines' signature student experience. Now, I would like to welcome Dr. Jennifer Miskimmons, the Department Head of Petroleum Engineering, to share a few words.
So first of all, welcome. I'm not good with scripts, so this will be entertaining. But first, I would like to welcome Paul Johnson. He doesn't want to say a lot because we are trying to shorten a little bit here, but obviously President Johnson, very important person here on campus, and we're glad that he was able to join us this afternoon, so thank you. As you can imagine, he has had some very, very difficult decisions in the last couple of days. So, but anyway, good afternoon, and thank you for working with us on the switch. Tremendous turnout, but we had the families in town, and we really did not want to miss this celebration. We wanted to move forward and make sure that we could celebrate the inductees as much as we possibly could. So thank you for being flexible with us and hanging out. So this is a phenomenal year in celebrating Mines 150th anniversary, and it's a great way for our department to close it out with the induction of our newest class of honorees into the Mines Petroleum Engineering Hall of Fame. Started in 2022 and aligned with the department's 100th anniversary, the PE Hall of Fame celebrates alumni, faculty, and other department supporters who have accomplished so much and made transformational contributions to the industry. The Hall of Fame honors these individuals while also providing examples to our current students of what they can become and achieve. And you've seen a couple of them here today, as well as a couple over here running the screen for us. So a day like today cannot be accomplished without the help from our sponsors, who support us not only today, but also throughout the year. So we'd first like to acknowledge Liberty Energy for hosting the bar this afternoon, which really isn't a bar, but we do appreciate their hosting and ability to support us in that regard. So thank you to Liberty Energy on that. Then we'd also like to thank the following for sponsoring tables. We have Chevron, ConocoPhillips, Continental Resources, EOG Resources, Liberty Resources, Rado Capital, Blue Spruce Operating and Steve Inger, Bob Ireland, Rob McKee, Neil Schmalley, Mike and Patty Starzer, and Josh Beats. And we would like to thank them for their support too. So those sponsors are the slides to the side of me, of course, but then they're also around on the poster board set around the event, so you can see who's helped us out with this throughout the day. Additionally, to thank you all as individuals for joining and supporting our students, for those of you that came as individuals. And we're going to talk a little bit here about what your support is doing. So associated with the 100th anniversary in the Hall of Fame, we started the Endowed 100th Anniversary Petroleum Engineering Fund that will provide our students with signature experiences now and well into the future by giving them the opportunity for continued hands-on teaching laboratory experiences. We wanted to show you how your support is helping us accomplish this. So first, I'd like to show you the 7 brand new pieces of rock and fluid properties, pieces of equipment that our students started using in classes this fall. So many of you might have heard this story, but our rock and fluids labs and the equipment that we were using was quite honestly so old we couldn't even get parts to fix them anymore. So we took it as an initiative that we obviously needed to do something about that. These pieces of equipment like the gas and liquid permeameters, there's a new PVT analysis, porosimeters, among some others. They're manufactured by a company called DaVinci out of France, and they're specifically geared for teaching. And we are getting rave reviews on them so far, especially for those of you that I know have struggled in the recent past with some of the equipment that we did have that wasn't working so well. Josh is over there just laughing because he had to fix a lot of it as a TA. So all this teaching equipment is really specifically designed for these teaching purposes. We also want to let you know that we were able to supplement the purchase of 4 new well control simulators. So they're tabletop well control simulators. We're putting them to very good use this fall in the drilling class. They're actually located in the drilling lab right here behind us. And finally, I just kind of want to bring some attention to this. It's not directly supported by the 100th anniversary, but sponsored by Chevron, we've developed some a new production teaching lab. And this production teaching lab, in keeping with the theme of improving our students' experiences, the equipment's literally one of a kind. It's designed and built in-house. And these are hands-on where they can actually see how things like rod pumps, gas lift, they're all cutaways. They can see how those are working. They have fluids that flow in them and everything else. So pretty excited about that and pretty excited about the way we've been able to upgrade a lot of the laboratory experiences that we have here. So hopefully you can see how your support and your contributions are continuing to make a difference for us in keeping the Mines program at the front of the pack. So before I hand the platform over, I'd like to specifically recognize a few people who made this day possible. And I had that written before today really happened. So what they have done and what they've pulled off to get us to where we are right now is just truly amazing. I'd like to thank our department manager, Nellie Link, who's in the back there. Rachel Beal is our assistant in the department. She wasn't able to make it, but I'd also like to recognize Courtney Swearinger, who many of you know. Who I'm pretty sure her and I have our cell phone numbers memorized with each other right now. Karen Hernandez, Rachel Trujillo, and several others in the Mines Foundation that have helped out with this. And of course, our student volunteers this afternoon that made their way in here. And finally, I'd like to thank the Hall of Fame Selection Committee. They have put in truly countless hours into this effort and a lot of passion. They are the reason that we're able to pull the Hall of Fame together and to get the inductees and the quality of the inductees that you're going to be able to see here in a little bit. We would not be here without their efforts and then their wholehearted support on that. And so I personally would like to thank them, and I know the department and all of our alums and students thank them also. So without further ado, I would like to welcome to the stage Mr. Steve Inger, the chair of the Hall of Fame Selection Committee.
Real close. How's that? Okay, this is great. Just a couple hours ago, yeah, we could not have imagined this. You guys all look good. Hey, Jennifer, I'm going to start with a question. Can attendees and Friends of Petroleum Engineering still give to the department for much needed equipment after this event?
Yes, Steve.
If you're not sure, Brian's here somewhere, and I know he's sure. Okay, great. I'm going to start by thanking the committee, and I'd like all of the committee members to stand, please, if you aren't already. So we've got Mark Pearson, John Benton, yeah, Steve Cheesebro. Thank you. And of course, Jennifer Miskimmons and myself. And there were three committee members, Bill Eustace, John Wright, and Wendy King, who are unable to be here today. So yeah, please thank the committee. I'd like to also note that Steve Cheesebro, who is on the committee, is a member of the first class of inductees from 2022. And I don't know if Denise Wright is here. I haven't seen her, but she was planning to be here to represent Russell Volk, also an inductee in 2022. So while we're talking about Dr. Miskimmons, I want to make sure that everyone knows that she is presently the SPE incoming president. This is a great honor for Jennifer. Well-deserved and really a big deal for Colorado School of Mines. So she'll be out there on the road a lot, and she'll be wearing her mines gear everywhere she goes. All right. All right, so we're going to jump right into introductions. I'm going to make the first introduction of Pernomo Yuzgiantoro, who could not be here today. This was written by his graduate advisor, Dr. John Wright, who also could not be here today. So I'm going to read this in John's words. 11 years after I got out of mines, the last 5 of which were consulting during the boom, I returned to mines as a teacher. There are many things to like about teaching. One of them is reveling in the accomplishments of your graduates, which I will do now as we honor the first of my students to be inducted into the PE Hall of Fame. About 5 years into my tenure, Pernomo Yuzgiantoro walked into my office with a plan for a master's thesis and asked me to be his advisor. As he progressed, I realized he was client managing me. I signed off on each step, and the final sign-off was largely ceremonial. I remember thinking, this guy is good. In my wildest dreams, I never imagined how good. Indeed, Pernomo has had a remarkable career. I believe he's the only PE alumnus to hold a ministerial position in a major country, and certainly the only one to hold 2 such positions. I also believe he's the only PE alum to be an OPEC governor and was Secretary General of OPEC. His career also included stints in private enterprise, teaching at universities, chairing multiple high-level multinational committees, creating think tanks, and advising presidents. He's an expert in two seemingly disparate fields, energy and minerals, and national defense. I'll outline just a few of his many accomplishments. Before he came to Mines, he received an engineering degree from the Bandung Institute of Technology. He was the engineering manager for a consulting firm in Indonesia, where he consulted for the Asian Development Bank and the World Bank. After earning his master's in petroleum engineering and a PhD in mineral economics from Mines, along with a master's in economics from CU, he returned to Indonesia, where he graduated from the National Defense Institute. Indonesia is a fascinating country of over 17,000 islands with almost 300 million people and contains vast coal, oil, natural gas, and other mineral resources. Purnomo served on many natural resource and national defense committees, led several Indonesian delegations to international conferences, and lectured on leadership. He then spent 2 years as OPEC governor of Indonesia. Many of you know that OPEC, the Organization of Petroleum Exporting Countries, attempts to coordinate and unify petroleum policies across 12 to 15 member countries to secure fair and stable prices for petroleum producers, a difficult job at best. Purnomo then served as the deputy governor of the National Defense Institute. After that, he was appointed the Indonesian Minister for Energy and Mineral Resources, a position he held for 9 years under 3 presidents. His tenure was the second longest of any Indonesian Minister of Energy. Along with his position as minister, he was chairman of the board of Pertamina. Pertamina is the Indonesian national oil company, and vice chairman of the group restructuring the national infrastructure, as well as serving on many other panels and committees. If that wasn't enough to keep him busy, he also served as Secretary General of OPEC and then President of OPEC during that time. His next posting was Minister of Defense for Indonesia, where he served for 5 years. In addition, he was a professor of development economics at Atmajaya University in Bandung, chairman of the meeting of the ASEAN Economic Ministers on Energy, chairman of the Defense Industry Policy Committee, chairman of the ASEAN Defense Ministers meeting. You get the idea. He's authored 4 books on economics and defense and published many papers. He has many other accomplishments, including founding the Purnomo Yusgiantoro Center, a nonprofit organization devoted to independent and in-depth research for policy solutions and recommendations in energy, natural resources, and national defense at the local, national, and global levels. He continues to be active, and just a few weeks ago was appointed by the President of Indonesia as his special advisor for energy. In recognition of his outstanding career and accomplishments, I'm pleased to accept this award on Dr. Purnomo's behalf.
Thank you, Mr. Anker. I would now like to welcome Mark Pearson to the stage to introduce our next inductee, Harry D. Campbell.
Good afternoon, everyone. Do I have this close enough?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm very pleased to introduce the next inductee, Harry D. Campbell. Mr. Campbell was born in Redondo Beach, California on July 26, 1913, and due to the early death of his mother, was raised along with his 2 brothers in an orphanage in Los Angeles. He attended Hollywood High School in Los Angeles and Pasadena Junior College in Pasadena. There he was noted for his athletic capabilities, earning the title of Little All-American in football. And following junior college, what would he do? He would come to Mines to be quarterback of our football team. His love and commitment for Mines, particularly for the football team and the petroleum engineering department, set him apart as one of the greatest ore diggers of all time. He excelled both academically and athletically, guiding the Ore Digger football team as the quarterback to an undefeated season in 1939. His jersey, number 48, was retired in 2007, only one of two in the school's history. Mr. Campbell graduated from Mines with a professional degree in petroleum engineering in 1942. He declined offers to play for the Philadelphia Eagles and Detroit Lions, and instead choosing to join the US Navy during World War II, where he rose to the rank of lieutenant and commanded a minesweeper and served with distinction in both the Atlantic and Pacific theaters. Once the war was won, he finally started his 50-year career in petroleum engineering. He initially worked for Union Oil Company, moved to the Western Division of Mobil Oil Corporation, where he rose to the general manager of exploration and production, and eventually moved on to become president of the Franco-Western Oil Company. He finished his career as president of his own petroleum exploration company located here in Denver. During all those years, he was devoted to mines. Mr. Campbell invested his time and resources to help ensure the mines tradition of strong academics and dynamic athletics by establishing 2 football scholarships. He was inducted into the Mines Athletic Hall of Fame in 2004, which is now named after him. He funded the development of the Harry D. Campbell Field for the football stadium, which was dedicated in 2010. Also, in 2010, he received the Mines Tourmaline Award for exceptional philanthropic commitment to the university. He served as an honorary member of the Colorado School of Mines Foundation Board of Governors and as a member of the President's Council and Century Society. He contributed to the John and Sharon Trefny Endowment for Curriculum Advancement to improve pedagogical approaches at mines. One of the things he has also done is that he established the Harry D. Campbell Endowed Chair in Petroleum Engineering, which was originally occupied by Dr. Azra Tutunka and now by Dr. Louise Zerpa. Mr. Campbell also supported the construction of Marquess Hall, where we are today, the home of petroleum engineering since 2013. Mr. Campbell passed away on May 6, 2011, at the great age of 97 years old. It is with great pleasure that we invite his daughter, Miss Margaret Campbell, to accept this well-deserved honor.
Thank you very much, everybody. It is wonderful to be here with all of you. And I am confident, I speak for my family, whom I'll introduce in a minute, that saying that we are delighted and very, very grateful to the Colorado School of Mines Petroleum Engineering Department for awarding this, for extending this award to our father and our uncle, to our father and our uncle. Let me introduce the family. There's my sister, Judith Judd, who's here, and my husband, of course, Edward Johnson, and Judith's husband, Gary Judd, and then Harry's niece, Clydine Campbell, whose father actually died in World War II before she was born. So Harry was kind of a father figure to her also. And then her daughter, Christine Moeller, so a great niece. To put it simply, our dad, Harry, loved mines. In fact, I think it was the primary source of continuity in his life, throughout his whole life. And so just to give you some ideas, he was also deeply, deeply grateful for all what mines gave him that allowed him to have this trajectory in life that he wouldn't have had, this more optimistic and wonderful trajectory in life because of his background of being raised in an orphanage and not having a mother and a limited father figure. So it meant the world to him, to say at least. We grew up with mines in the background always. In fact, I'm going to share some names with you of people that, some of whom we met, but the names were in our family all the time. Number one, Ed Brooks, who recruited Dad, who was not a football player, but is part of the Athletic Hall of Fame for his contributions. His class was what year, Gary? Ed Brooks.
I'm not sure.
Anyway, it was before. Then, of course, Lloyd Madden, who was the star of the 1939 football team. We actually met him. We knew Ed Brooks. Marv Gates, Marv Kay's father, who was on the team. And then and also Dick Moe. I remember Dick Moe. And I remember Hal Rogers. We met Hal Rogers. And Hal Rogers at that time married the daughter of the man who was dean of School of Mines. And we can't remember that name. So I'm sorry about that. Maybe some of you who close to that era can remember who that was. Anyway, we grew up with these names. We also grew up with Heine Foss, the name Heine Foss, who owned the drugstore. And my dad worked for him one summer. So those were names we grew up with, even though we'd never been to Colorado. My sister was born here in Colorado, but we'd never been to mines until much later. So moving forward in time, when my dad moved back to Denver, which was in the early 70s, he loved working with President Ansel, President Trefny. We've met all of these people. And last but not least, President Scoggin. In fact, to kind of sum up the place of mines in my father's world and heart, he would refer to President Scoggin out of context as the president, as though there was no other presidency that mattered. It was the president. And he would say, the president called. Not mines president, not President Scoggin, but the president. So he would be so proud and so grateful, and we are also. So thank you. This is a really big moment for us. So thank you very much.
Incredible. Now, John Benton will tell us about our next honoree, Neil Schmale.
Thank you. It's my honor to be here, and I want to thank Mr. Anger for letting me be part of this committee very much. And I would like to introduce our next inductee, Neil Schmale. Neil attended mines and graduated with a professional degree in petroleum engineering in 1968. He started his professional career with Unocal in California as a drilling engineer, a profession I heartily recommend, having spent a bit of time doing that. While at Unocal, he attended Loyola University of Los Angeles Law School, graduating in 1974. He had a very diverse career of 29 years with Unocal, which included being the Petroleum Products and Chemicals Division president and Unocal's chief financial officer until leaving in 1997. He was also a member of Unocal's board of directors. I should mention something about the drilling engineer. This was originally going to be Dr. Bill Eustace to present this, who was the drilling professor here at school. So just remember that's where that came from also. Mr. Schmale joined the Sempra Company, a utility holding company, in 1998 as executive vice president and chief financial officer, and eventually became the president and chief operating officer. Sempra was an industry leader in the move towards renewable energy as a part of the overall electrical supply of California. This entailed not only the generation of renewables, but also the construction of efficient transmission mechanisms to get that energy to the power grid and ultimately the customer. Sempra built renewable energy generation facilities as well as a natural gas pipeline in the US and Mexico, and was instrumental in introducing smart meters to customers to reduce peak power loading and to help manage and minimize individual power bills, probably smarter than me. Neil has also served on the boards of Murphy Oil Corporation and the WD-40 Company. He was the chairman of Murphy Oil Corporation's Compensation Committee and the lead director and the non-executive chairman of WD-40 for over 10 years. When you consider the service for mines, Neil serves on the Mines Foundation Board of Governors and is on the Finance Committee. he earned Mines Distinguished Achievement Medal in 1992. He established and regularly contributes to the Schmally Business Engineering Management Science Fund. He is a former member of the Mines Reunion Giving Program, Special Gifts Committee, President's Council, and of the Petroleum Engineering Visiting Committee, the latter of which is a critical position for those of us in academia. And again, that would be from Dr. Eustace, or Dr. Miskimmons, obviously. He's also a member of the Beta Theta Pi fraternity. Neil supports institutions in California. He's been an adjunct instructor of finance and international business at the University of San Diego. He has served on various nonprofit boards and committees, including the Los Angeles Educational Partnership, San Diego Symphony, and the Business School Advisory Committee at the University of San Diego. Unfortunately, Mr. Schmally could not be here today, so I'm very humbled and proud to accept this award on behalf of Mr. Schmally.
Thank you. What a story. Now let's bring up John Benton to introduce our next inductee, Vernon Bud Isaacs.
Thank you. I got a little practice. I would really like to introduce our next inductee, Vernon Bud Isaacs. Bud Isaacs learned about the oil and gas industry at a very early age as he grew up in oil camps all over the world. He decided to be a petroleum engineer, and many of the engineers Bud met told him the only school he should attend was the Colorado School of Mines. He was a member of the Kappa Sigma fraternity, and he played varsity football. He graduated with a professional petroleum degree in petroleum engineering in 1964. Mr. Isaacs was in ROTC, and so was allowed to work for just 1 year before starting his military service. Bud worked for Calco Offshore as a drilling engineer. From that, it was very easy to tell Bud's commitment to excellence as he stayed on the platform for 24 days straight so he could get his own rig to run. Bud was trained as a combat engineer and was commissioned as a second lieutenant in the Army Corps of Engineers. He volunteered for Vietnam and served with the 1st Brigade and the 101st Airborne as a combat engineer. Bud's exemplary military service was recognized with him being awarded Vietnamese combat ribbons, combat infantry badge, the Silver Star, the Bronze Star with Valor, and a Purple Heart for wounds suffered during combat. Following military service, Mr. Isaacs returned to petroleum engineering, where he excelled as a leader. Prior to starting his own companies, he held positions with Coquina Oil Corporation and Union Oil Company. Bud leveraged his drilling, production, planning, and evaluation experience to a position with Petro Lewis Corporation in 1976, rising to senior vice president of the corporation in 1981. Mr. Isaacs left Petro Lewis in 1985 and founded VA Isaacs and Associates, Inc., to advise companies in the purchase and sale of oil and gas properties. In 1989, Bud established the RIM Companies, a successful private oil and gas property management firm with production operations across the continental United States. Bud's children continue to manage the RIM Companies. Outside of his own companies, Bud made significant contributions to the oil and gas industry. He served as a director of Enduring Resources, was a member and former distinguished lecturer of the Society of Petroleum Engineers, was an executive board member of the Independent Petroleum Association of Mountain States, now known as the Western Energy Alliance, and was chairman of the Coal Bed Methane Committee. He was past president of the Society of Petroleum Evaluation Engineers. Bud made material contributions to the community. He was active with the Boy Scouts of America, was on the board of trustees for Denver Inner City Parish, the development board for Colorado Uplift, and served as a trustee for the Alliance for Choice in Education. He also had fun as he served on the board of the Winter Olympics Committee and Ski Club Dale. Mr. Isaacs demonstrated enduring support for Colorado School of Mines. He served on the Mines Foundation Development Committee, campaign committees for the Student Recreation Center and Marcus Hall, and chaired the class of 1964 reunion giving program. Bud and his wife, Kay, who's with us today, established the Isaacs Veteran Endowed Scholarship that supports veterans attending mines and covers education expenses when the GI Bill falls short. Mines has recognized Bud for his contributions to the school by awarding him the Colonel Wendell Fertig Award, Miner of the Month, inducting him in the Colorado ROTC Hall of Fame, and awarding him the Mines Distinguished Achievement Medal in 2008. Bud and his wife, Kay, supported Mines through the Heritage Society and the Century Society. Bud was a consummate outdoorsman. He loved skiing, fishing, hunting, golfing, and traveling. He cared about Colorado and the environment. He was a founder of the Upper Colorado River Alliance and was a member of Trout Unlimited, receiving the organization's Silver Trout Award. Mr. Isaacs passed from us in 2022. Again, I'm honored to introduce Bud Isaacs into the Petroleum Engineering Hall of Fame, and here to accept his award is his son, Chad Isaacs. There you go.
I'm going to go ahead if you can hear me all right. I'm kind of, one of the combat injuries that Bud received was he got his eardrums blown out. So when I came to work for the family, there was a lot of yelling, and my children once said, "Will you stop yelling at Dad?" I'm like, "I'm not yelling, he can't hear anything." So I just want to thank you guys very much for this award. He would be honored. He loved mines and leave it up to a bunch of engineers to solve the problem of weather. So congratulations. Thank you guys for doing it. Awesome job. I think grades were not a part of the inductee process, because I have seen some of his grades when he went here and they weren't great. So Bud was a tremendous, oh no, I mean, like, it was like C's were good. So he was a great engineer, but he was a better businessman and a better father. So he taught me a ton, and he is grateful for this award. And I'd like to say congratulations to my mother, his wife, Kay Isaacs. She's here as well. So I came back to work for the family in 2009. It's been about 15 years, and we learned to work together, and it was a great relationship. And as I said this at another one of these talks that Bud got accepted for something, he wasn't able to move mountains, but he was able to move rivers. And one of his biggest passions was the Colorado River. He started the Upper Colorado River Alliance, and he helped reroute the Colorado River around Windy Gap Reservoir to bring the watershed back to its natural health. So he is, thank you guys very much. And
Thank you, Mr. Isaacs. I'm in awe of our first 4 inductees. Next, I'd like to welcome Steve Chisebrough to introduce our next honoree, Harold Coral.
I need this. All right, where's Harold hiding? Anyway, we're here right now to celebrate Harold Correll to be inducted into the Petroleum Engineering Hall of Fame. You know, another good Wyoming kid, right? We got a couple of them.
Gotta go closer.
Okay, nobody can hear me. So anyway, now we got a couple of Wyoming kids being introduced. Last time there were 3 Okies, so they're catching up. Look, Harold graduated with a professional degree, chemical and PRE. He came to Mines to get a degree and to play basketball, which he did both in very good fashion. When he graduated, he went to work for Mobil, short term, and then he joined Tenneco Oil Company, which Chuck Schultz and I worked alongside of him for 17 years. He rose to vice president of production. Now that sounds like an operating guy, the way Tenneco was organized, production meant the whole upstream business. He was over reservoir engineering, geological engineering, drilling, and production. He did an excellent job of that. He went, when Tenneco Oil got blown up by Tenneco Inc. and sold us, we all scattered to the wind. And he went to McCormick Resources, then American Exploration, top exec there, top positions. But then he really made the mark when he joined Southwest Energy. He took a struggling company that didn't know which way they were going. They had some resources and so on. With his dedication and drive and working on a team effort, from 1998 to 2010, he went to president, CEO, and chairman. And they went from $187 million a year to $17 billion while he was there. They grew production to 2.6 billion a day because he cracked the code on the Haynesville Shale, found out how to drill it, how to do it, how to get it to market, because it had been sitting there for eon. Nobody knew how to do it, but he did. Their growth, their equity growth and stock growth, their growth rate, not the size, but outpaced Apple. He's got a lot of industry recognition because of what he's accomplished. U.S. Steel Chief Roughneck Award, Oil and Gas Investor Executive of the Year 2006, Sam Walton School of Business, outstanding service. During all this time, he also was involved in a lot of other industry activities, long and continued involvement. American Natural Gas Alliance, he was a founder and vice chair, board member, California Resources, DeSoto Drilling, Diamond M Production, American Exploration, IPAA, National Petroleum Council. I can go on, but you get the idea how involved he was in not only his business, but in the industry itself. So where does Mines come in? Mines had to recognize this. He was on the visiting committee, the Petroleum Engineering Department. He served with us on the Foundation Board of Governors, Houston President's Council Chair, Reunion Giving Committee. So how does Mines recognize this? Well, look around. What does that say up there? Patricia and Harold Carell lobby to Marcus Hall. Their big involvement was the athletic center at Clear Creek. Well, if you look up on the side, you'll see their name. You don't get up there for just messing around. You're a leader in getting that done. He's received the Distinguished Achievement Award, the Cool Ball Memorial Award, and also the Tourmaline. You heard that before. I can vouch for him. Tenneco and Foundation, Chuck Schultz and I worked with him. He worked with the determination, a real doer, a drive, and he's a problem solver. He got the things done. He didn't just talk about them and hand them over. He did it. So I want to welcome him to the PE Hall of Fame.
Well, thank you, Steve. This is one of my favorite guys. I had to work for him, and there were a lot of challenges that he put in front of me that I really didn't like. He sent me a guy with a big ego from South America one time when I was in a job out in California. And this guy was really hard to get along with, but he said, we need to turn this Colombian into a Tenneco employee with a Tenneco culture. And after about a week of all my managers coming in saying, we need to get rid of this damn guy, I called Steve and I said, Steve, look, we can't do this. We're gonna have to send him back. And Steve said, Harold, your career depends on this. That's one of my members of Steve Cheesebro, amongst others. Well, thank you. Yesterday, I had the honor of speaking to the petroleum engineering, or some, I don't know what class it was. What was it? Introduction to petroleum engineering. Jennifer asked me to do that. And it was down in Coolbaugh Hall, and all of you know room 209, where we went through the beginning of orientation week and many other things. It was walking into that room, so many memories came back about this place. I mean, it was just unreal. I could see the seat that I sat in when they told us to look to the right and left and forward, and only one of those people would be there by the time they, graduated, and it turned out that way for sure. Paul, one of the other things I noticed there has not changed from where it was in 1963 when we went there and began here. Those two periodic tables that are up there are the same ones that were there. And there are only 103 elements on those tables. And I know there are more than that. So I asked around the room there yesterday of all these intelligent petroleum engineering students, surely there are more elements have been, I know there were. So does anybody in here know how many elements there are now on the periodic table? And nobody said anything. And I said, look, out of all of you, somebody has to know some chemistry in here. And one young man raised his hand. He said there are now 118. So Brian was there yesterday. I said, Brian, I'm going to give the money to change those periodic tables. Mine should at least have the most recent periodic tables in the hall of that room, I swear.
Maybe we should leave some spaces since they won't be buying it.
Well, the thing that's bothering me is I'm not sure that we actually know how to print anything nowadays. So it might have to be on a screen, but whatever. So I wanted to make, there are two other things I wanted to admit to here that are, that are kind of hard ones. Maybe I'll only admit to one of them. One of the difficult things we remember we had to go through that we all hated at Mines was mineralogy, right? You remember it was all cold caulking these minerals. And by the time I got to well, I'll go back, I'll do the other admittance first. I'm not a petroleum engineer. I'm a chemical and petroleum refining engineer. And I'm probably the first one and maybe the only one to get inducted into this Petroleum Engineering Hall of Fame, and thank you for that honor. But by the time I got to my fourth year, I was here 4.5 years to get out, I had saved mineralogy for the end because I knew I had to memorize all this stuff. And so I went in to register for my last semester, and mineralogy was not offered. No, it wasn't. It was not offered. Because I got out in February, it wasn't offered. And I didn't know what I was going to do because I didn't have the money to be here anyway. And I surely couldn't stay another whole semester. So I went to Dr. Gary, who was the chair of the petroleum CPR department. And it's the only thing anyone ever did for me, I guess it was really nice to me when I was here back then, was he somehow was able to let me graduate. He said, a chemical engineer doesn't need to know mineralogy. And then what did I do? I went off to work in the petroleum industry. And I wished that I would have taken mineralogy. So I bought my own book and I studied it over the years and was able to compete with guys like Rob and Bob Ireland. So the class of 63 is here in a big way. And I remember you guys from those days when we were all here together. And Neil, I don't know if you're on Zoom or on the phone, but congratulations to you. Finally, education is a critically important thing to me because starting out from where I did in a small town in Wyoming, the oldest kid of 5 of us to the son of a truck driver, getting into Colorado School of Mines and then graduating from this place, just opened doors. I mean, it would have never, ever been open to me. It's impossible. And, the outcome of that is those open doors, whatever work you put into it and good fortune you have along the way. I feel like I really live the American dream. And that's why we give back to Mines. And it's a powerful place. It's a place that we have to have continue with the kind of educational process that people that it delivers to industry. So thank all of you that are still here at Mines teaching. And I want to say to you young people that are at some point here going to graduate, we want you to continue to make this place proud, and I'm sure you will. So thank you for this honor.
Thank you and congratulations, Mr. Carell. Please welcome Dr. Mark Pearson to tell us about FH McMurray.
Bear with me 1 minute. Thank you so much, and congratulations, Mr. Correll. Thank you for everything you have done for Mines. Now, I'd like to tell you about our next inductee, F.H. McMurray. Francis H. McMurray graduated from Mines with a professional degree in petroleum engineering in 1959. He attended Colorado School of Mines on a football scholarship. It does seem to be a little bit of a theme here. I mentioned to Steve Cheeseborough. Mick attended Mines on a football scholarship following his graduation from Evergreen High School, living in the coach's basement. He suffered a shoulder injury requiring surgery during his freshman year, ending his football career. But in December of 1955, he married his high school sweetheart, Carol Ann Powell, and they welcomed their first son in 1957. During this time, he worked as a night watchman for Robinson Brick Company while attending school full-time. Upon graduation, he started work as a field engineer in Wyoming, working for Wyoming oil and gas pioneer Fred Goodstein at Tri-Good Oil Company, which was later sold to Tulsa-based Terra Resources. At Terra, after 20 years of working roles of ever-increasing responsibility, he became president of the company in 1979 at the age of 43, a position he held for the next 9 years until 1988. He then moved back to Denver, where he led Apache Corporation as their president from 1988 to 1992. And when Apache moved to Houston, he joined their spin-off company, Key Production, as chairman, president, and CEO for 10 years from 1992 to 2002. In 2002, Key merged with the oil and gas subsidiary of Tulsa-based Hemlock and Payne, to form Cimarex Energy, and Mick served as president and CEO of Cimarex from 2002 to 2011 and held the chairman position until 2012. He had a truly remarkable career, which really must be one of the longest in industry since it spanned 53 years, with 33 years of those in the top executive position as either the president, the CEO, or chairman of his company. Mick's business philosophy was rooted in the conviction that a company should create real value through drilling and production, and that an executive's responsibility was to make a company not simply more profitable, but genuinely a better company. He placed individual talent at the center of this quest and always promoted a culture of innovation, independent thought, and personal initiative, often pushing others to exceed their own expectations of themselves. Many of his former proteges have gone on to become senior executives in the oil and gas industry. And Mick was awarded the Mines Distinguished Achievement Medal in 2001. He also served on the Petroleum Engineering Visiting Committee and was named the 2002 Wildcatter of the Year by the Western Energy Alliance. Cimarex Corporation also established an endowed chair, the F.H. McMurray Coterra Energy Distinguished Department Head Chair, which of course is currently held by Dr. Miskimmins. Mick retired from industry and returned to the ranch in Conifer, where he had grown up. And in later years, he apparently surrounded himself with an excessive amount of John Deere and other ranch equipment, which he kept running and working until his passing in 2012 at the age of 76. The ranch equipment is apparently still in use today at his son's ranch in Montana. In passing, a group of his mentors put together a group of Mickisms, phrases that Mick would use to express his opinion or his perspective on a topic. The one that I thought most appropriate for our industry was his quoting of President Calvin Coolidge's words, "Press on. Nothing in the world can take the place of perseverance. Talent will not. Nothing is more common than unsuccessful men with talent. Genius will not. Unrewarded genius is almost a proverb. Education will not. The world is full of educated derelicts. Persistence and determination alone are omnipotent." Our industry needs persistence and determination to not just survive, but to thrive amidst the ups and downs of commodity pricing. During the 53 years of Mick's career, there were numerous downturns and some upturns in our industry, but Mick kept a steady hand and became a leader and advocate for our industry and for the companies he led. We are honored today to remember and induct F.H. Mick Morelli into the Colorado School of Mines Petroleum Hall of Fame and thank his many friends and family members who are here with us this afternoon, including his granddaughter, Erin Morelli, who will accept on his behalf.
All right, well, you guys started with football, so I'll share a secret that he told me. He didn't know what petroleum engineering was when he got that football scholarship. He was just happy to have a free education and be able to play football. So there's something you didn't know about him. Also, I thought it was interesting, 53 years in the industry and only 76 years of life. That is impressive, but a lot of things about my grandfather were impressive. It's a privilege to hear his name still spoken in rooms 11 years after his death. So thank you to the Colorado School of Mines for giving me that opportunity, and my children, his grandchildren who are here, the privilege of understanding a little bit more about his legacy, even though they didn't get to experience it as much as I did. That only happens when you live a life of legacy. And Mick Morelli was a legend. He was a legend in the petroleum engineering industry, but maybe even more so, he was a legend in our family. And he was a lost breed. He could wear a suit in a boardroom just as well as he could wear his dirty coveralls on the tractor. He wasn't afraid to get his hands dirty. He traveled the world, but he loved his home in Conifer, Colorado the most. He was comfortable in world-class dining rooms and just as comfortable in country cafes. And in either environment, he'd have his meal down his throat in about 3 minutes and sit there lecturing to me for the next hour. He would speak to me about things that mattered, politics, yes, but also how to be in the world, why people are the way that they are, how to be a good leader, the importance of integrity, especially when nobody's looking. I drove home from our countless meals together, trying to commit his wisdom to my memory. I knew that he was a legacy and a privilege to call my own. Looking around this room, I suspect there's quite a bit of legacy in the making, in addition to the people who are being honored here today. In his honor, I would like to remind each of you to live out your legacy, not just professionally, but ethically as well, so that your name is remembered for your deeds and dedications for the generations that follow you. I think it's easy for us to kind of forget where we came from and to feel like we're in it alone. So legacy and reminding the future generations of that legacy is so important. And I thank you for that opportunity today.
What a legend. Next, let's welcome back again to the stage, John Benton, to introduce our next honoree, Robert or Bob E. Ireland.
Okay, this is a an impressive table over here with all these individuals. So, Mr. Ireland's decision to become a petroleum engineer was a material benefit to the oil and gas industry. Bob graduated in 1968 with a professional degree in petroleum engineering and followed with a master's degree in mineral economics. Now, we're going to deviate a bit from football because Mr. Ireland found time at Mines to play both varsity baseball and basketball. He played right field with Rob McKee, another Hall of Fame inductee, and one of the three selected to the 1968 All-Star team. Congratulations, Bob. Bob and his basketball teammates took second place in their conference in 1968. Mr. Ireland was a member of ATOs and served there as the secretary. Mr. Ireland was also on the student council, the Ore Digger business staff, the E-Days committee. I hope everybody here remembers E-Days, and a member of Theta Tau. Bob served in the Army in Vietnam and joined Conoco, moving up through various engineering positions. Conoco recognized Bob's capabilities and competencies, and from 1967 to 1998, he rose through the organization into management and leadership roles, eventually becoming the regional manager of Conoco's upstream business. In 1998, Bob joined Occidental Petroleum as the executive vice president of worldwide operations. And during his tenure at Occidental, Bob completed a major restructuring of the company's portfolio and personnel that enabled significant business performance growth. And as a shareholder of Oxy, I thank you. Bob also served on and chaired several industry associations, including the UK Offshore Operators Association, New Mexico Oil and Gas Association, Mid-Continental Oil and Gas Association, and the Permian Basin Oil and Gas Association. Upon Mr. Ireland's retirement from Occidental in 2004, he started Nalari Investments, I may not have pronounced that correctly, and partnered in several entrepreneurial ventures, including Rapid Retail Solutions, BISS Product Development, LLC, and All About Baby, LLC. Bob also served on the board of directors of Harvest Natural Resources, Touchstone Resources USA, and Cygnus Oil and Gas. Bob contributed significantly to the community in several leadership roles, including serving on the board of Paramount Theater, Little Brothers and Sisters, Midland Community Theater, president of the United Way of Midland, the board president of Unbroken Spirit, and the board of the Walnut Cove Members Association. Mr. Ireland is a strong supporter of mines. He has served on the Trustee Development Council, Petroleum Engineering Visiting Committee, the Reunion Giving Program, Transforming Resources Corporate Foundation, and lost my place, sorry, and chaired the President's Council Regional Committee. Bob has supported mines through the McBride Honors Program and the Mines Fund. Mines has recognized Mr. Ireland for his contributions to the school and the oil and gas industry by awarding him the Mines Distinguished Achievement Medal in 2000. As with other inductees, Mr. Ireland represents the values that the school instills in its graduates, and I'm very honored to welcome him into the Petroleum Engineering Hall of Fame.
Thank you. Well, this is a great honor to be recognized by your university that you weren't sure you was going to go to when you started, and then you found out that it was much harder than you thought it was going to be. But I was born in a family of middle class family. My dad believed in hard work hard, play hard, but not in the reverse. You don't play before you work, you finish your work first. So had that kind of philosophy. We moved all over the world with petroleum business, 27 times. My wife of 55 years, Ann, traveled all over the place, found new homes, found new doctors, found new dentists, and I just went back to work. So you sometimes forget about the wife, forget about the kids. Kimberly, my oldest daughter, Tanya, my middle daughter, and Rob, my younger son, all traveled and changed jobs and changed locations multiple times. I remember moving my daughter, Tanya, middle of her senior year to Scotland. I think that was tough. That's hard duty. But I do want to recognize also the friendships we made as we grew up in mines. And Errol Carrell, played basketball with him. And of course, Rob McKee, a friend for a long time, even before mines, we played baseball against each other. We had great relationships and we knew how to play hard, work hard. And I think the thing that Rob and I knew that we did that made a difference in the business was we were involved with deep water technology that became the solution by Conoco of how to solve deep water solutions into 2,000 feet of water, 3,000 feet of water. And we were involved with that and developed the first tension lake platform, installed it in the North Sea, and it worked, which you don't know a lot of time. The story behind that is the first major storm in the North Sea was a gangbuster, and I was offshore at the time because we just finished the installation, and a 100-foot wave comes through the platform, and we all were watching movies that night at 2 o'clock in the morning because we weren't sure the technology worked, but it did. So that was kind of one of the highlights of our career, getting into deep water. So I thank the Scarborough School of Mines for all they've done for us. The work hard ethic was emblematic of being here. You make it through the first couple of years, you really can make it. And then the legacy of jobs and getting new jobs and finding jobs, membership is great about that. Also want to recognize Brett Thompson, my nephew. He went to Colorado School of Mines. Bobby McKee went to Colorado School of Mines. So we got a little bit of legacy on here. I did never get my kids to go here. Anyway, it's a great experience, and I thank the petroleum for this award. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Ireland. That is remarkable. Next, please welcome back Mark Pearson to tell us about Ted Stockmar.
Thank you. I want you all to know that when you're seeing us up here multiple times, that this was not the plan for some of us. It's because some of us got roped in, should we say, Steve? So thank you for bearing with me. Thank you. So our next inductee into the Petroleum Hall of Fame is Ted P. Stockmar. Maybe I'll go off script a little bit and just tell you that, you know, as a member of the mines community, a former member of faculty, I came here because of the people from mines like Steve that I had worked with in Atlantic Richfield Company, ARCO, where I spent a good chunk of my time, and Scott Wilson, who's here, and others that were at ARCO with me. And the quality of those people that I worked with, their technical know-how and what they did. But serving on this committee and just realizing some of the giants in our industry that went through Colorado School of Mines and the petroleum department and the impact they had on not just our profession, but on their companies and society as a whole has been truly remarkable. And I've got to say, I'm particularly amazed at our next inductee, Ted P. Stockmar, who is not here with us, but I'd like to take the time to talk about him because of the amazing impact that he had on our society. While at Mines, Ted actually, well, let me say first that he graduated with a professional degree in petroleum engineering in 1943. While at Mines, Ted led an incredibly active life. He was very involved in honor societies, including being president of Tau Beta Pi and Theta Tau. He was a colonel in the ROTC Cadet Corps and a member of Scabbard and Blade, the college military honor society. He was quarterback of the football team. Heard that before. An all-conference baseball player and a member of the college golf team. He was also a member of the Blue Key Honor Society, and he graduated with his professional degree, as I said, in 1943. Despite all of that, rumor has it that when he graduated in 1943, he couldn't get a job. Now, that might seem strange to some of us, but I believe that nearly everybody that comes out of mines, petroleum engineering can get a job. But instead, Ted went and served in World War II as a second lieutenant in the Army Corps of Engineers, and later as a B-24 and B-29 bomber instructor in the Army Air Corps. He returned from military duty after the war and went to law school, earning his JD from Denver University in 1948. And from there went on to become one of the best known and most important natural resource attorneys in the region as a partner at Holm, Roberts, and Owen. Ted's contributions to mines are profound. Not only was he on the board of trustees a stunning 33 years from 1948 to 1981, he also served as president of that board for 10 of those years, from 1969 to 1979. He was a very active alum and is basically credited for founding the Mines Foundation. He served on the foundation's executive and investment committees, as well as the Petroleum Engineering Visiting Committee, was on the Resource Fund International Development Committee, the Resource Fund Executive Committee, and the Reunion Giving Committee. He was a prominent fundraiser for mines and a significant philanthropic donor himself, which is recognized in his membership of the Mines Century Society. In 1987, Ted received the Mines Medal, and then in 1990, a Distinguished Achievement Medal, and in 1997, he was awarded an honorary doctorate of engineering. Outside of mines, Ted gave his time to many industry boards and representative groups. At the Rocky Mountain Oil and Gas Association, he served as chairman of the legal committee, on the board of directors, and the executive and legal committees. He was the Colorado representative to the legal committee of the Interstate Oil and Gas Compact Commission, a member of the Oil Shale Advisory Committee of AMI, the Association of the American International Mining Engineering Association, the Rocky Mountain Mineral Law Foundation, the Colorado Mining Association, and the Denver Bar Association. Ted retired in 1991 after more than 40 years of legal service to our industry and countless decades of service to mines and to society. He passed in 2009 and is survived by his 3 children and many grandchildren. Unfortunately, none of them are able to be with us today. They all live out on the West Coast. And so I'm honored to accept this award on behalf of the incredible Ted Stockmar.
Thank you, Mr. Pearson. Next, let's welcome back Steve Anger to introduce our last inductee of this afternoon, Robert E. Mickey.
I just love listening to Mark talk. That's why I asked him to step in and pinch hit. Thanks to all the committee for being so flexible. I'm pretty sure that Rob is not used to batting ninth, so I'm just going to think about it as cleanup. How's that? Yeah. All right. It is my pleasure to describe the great career of Rob McKee. And let me start at the beginning. He grew up in Wyoming and beyond, moving often so that his dad could provide for the family. Rob graduated in, yes, 1968. If you're counting, that's the fourth 1968 graduate in this group of 9. So it really is a pretty incredible group. Well, at Mines, Rob was, sorry, I want to be clear because it's very important to say that he graduated with a professional degree in petroleum engineering and then later earned an MS in industrial management from MIT. While at Mines, Rob was a member of Alpha Tau Omega, was inducted into the Blue Key Honor Society, elected a class officer, and was a gifted athlete. He participated in varsity football, baseball, and wrestling, and was Mines' first All-American in baseball. He was inducted into the Mines Athletic Hall of Fame for his achievements. Since Steve Cheesebro is here tonight, perhaps we can finally settle who hit a baseball farther over the center field fence. I'm thinking that discussion will perhaps take at least one drink and perhaps more time than we have right now, but I look forward to that later. Rob served 37 years with Conoco and ConocoPhillips, including the last 10 years as Executive Vice President running the worldwide exploration and production business and administrative functions of the company, and he was a member of the Conoco Management Committee. His early positions were in drilling and production, leading to Rob's appointment as production manager in the UK, Middle East, and US. He was promoted to regional E&P manager in the US, followed by positions as VP of E&P technology and VP of Conoco Europe. During the last 10 years of his Conoco tenure, he spearheaded expansion into the international arena and brought Conoco's upstream business to an industry leadership position. He integrated Conoco and Phillips upstream functions beginning in 2001 and then retired in 2003. Immediately following his Conoco retirement, he accepted an appointment by US President George W. Bush as the senior advisor to lead the ultimately successful reconstruction of the Iraqi oil sector. It was a lifetime highlight for Rob to be there for Saddam Hussein's capture and President Bush's historic surprise trip to Baghdad. He later became the non-executive chairman of Inventure Global Technologies, focused on expandable solid steel liner systems, from which he retired in 2009. Rob was active in supporting industry as a member of API, where he served on the board of directors, the National US Arab Chamber of Commerce, SPE, the US Russian Business Council. In addition, he served on the boards of Parker Drilling, QEP Resources, Kodiak Gas, Acorn Energy, CLK Energy, and Bluecrest Energy, and broadened that to include civic board representation for Post Oak Bank and Allegiant Bank shares in Houston. Rob chaired the Institute of International Education Southern Region Board and served on the advisory committee of the University of Texas Engineering Department. The McKee Family Foundation hosts and funds the Heroes at Home Golf Tournament for the Green Beret Foundation. Rob's support of Colorado School of Mines is unwavering. He and his wife, Ann, created the President's Bridge Scholarship to provide funding for students on an increasing scale to reduce their debt as an incentive for them to graduate and contribute to society. The McKees established a scholarship for petroleum and mechanical engineering students, and they have been significant contributors to improvements at the baseball and football fields. And if you want to become involved, please ask about the McKee West End Zone project currently underway. Rob was awarded the Mines Distinguished Achievement Medal in 1992 and served actively on the Board of Governors for over 15 years. I was privileged that Rob was on the Nominating and Governance Committee when I joined that committee several years ago, and his input was always thoughtful and insightful. So when we started the PE Hall of Fame committee 2 years ago, I told Jennifer the one guy we've got to get is Rob McKee. Fortunately, he said yes and was instrumental in that epic class that we inducted 2 years ago. After that event in November of 2022, I gently told him he was fired from the committee for reasons that were obvious and now crystal clear to today as we welcome Rob as a most deserving member of the PE Hall of Fame.
Okay, well, thank you, Steve. That was very nice of you to say all those words. I begged Jennifer to just have the shortest introduction, just said, here's Rob McKee, let's get this over with. You know. But she said it wasn't going to happen that way, so. Yeah, but I was always a very lucky person. Started from modest beginnings. Obviously, my dad worked very hard to raise that family basically on his own. And so I had a great dad. He steered me in the right direction to Colorado School of Mines, among other things. And that was, of course, never a mistake at all as far as I was concerned. Had a great wife, 57 years. We've been married now. Got a great family, Bob and 2 other siblings and a bunch of grandchildren and great-grandchildren. Now, I've had good health. At least I had good health until this summer when I fell off my bicycle, and I'm not quite as quick as I was then. I was never very quick, but not as quick anyway. So I've been very lucky and blessed to be in this group for sure. When Jennifer called me and announced that to me, I said for sure somebody had tricked the selection committee, because I was on the selection committee for the first class, and I see the caliber of that class and the caliber of my fellow inductees here, and so I still had to wonder why I was there. But having said that, I'm flattered and honored to have gotten this call from Jennifer. You know, people have asked me what's the secret to success, and I tell them I don't have a clue. I really don't. I mean, you have to work hard. You have to continue learning all the time. You have to, in my case, you had to believe in the golden rule and that kind of thing. And when you add up all of those sort of things, it was a very fulfilling career in the petroleum industry for me. Anyway, my family really deserves to be going into the Hall of Fame, not me. I mean, I think Bob mentioned 27 moves. We didn't have quite that many. We had 23 and all over the world and umpteen jobs. And just like Ann Ireland, Ann McKee had to stay behind while we went to where they mailed our paycheck to, and they took care of the moves, whether they were international or across the street kind of a thing. And the kids were the same way. They switched schools and just were along with us all the time. And it was really great. I mean, even with those 23 moves, and I was going to say there was never a complaint. There might have been one or two little complaints along the way. Anyway, one other thing, because I know you're really happy to see the last 68 graduate and the last of the inductees up here, but I want to build on what Bob Ireland said. I met Bob playing baseball, as he said, in high school. We met up the first couple of days when we were freshmen. We pledged the same fraternity. We went into petroleum engineering and graduated as petroleum engineers. We were workmates and classmates, and it was fantastic. And along the way, we were lucky, and he's got a lot of his family here tonight. And Ann and me and Bob and the other McKees were basically adopted by the Ireland family here, and they lived just down the road here, basically at Lakewood, and they took care of us and him through. Like you better than me. No. Anyway, they did, and we are blessed to have had the Ireland's friendship from top to bottom, for sure. So with that, I'm going to say whoever, I don't know who's next here, but Jennifer, thank you again. We appreciate it.